Let me tell you something you may not want to hear, but absolutely need to know right now. The man who ignored you, who read your messages but didn't reply, who decided you weren't enough, that man is currently losing his mind over another woman, but not because she's prettier, younger, or more successful, but because she's doing something you've long forgotten how to do, something you stopped doing in order to avoid rejection. And exactly that, is what truly drives men crazy. Not looks, not the body, but a certain energy they can't control. I know it hurts. Maybe you're thinking about him right now, wondering what you did wrong, why he didn't choose you, or why he left you for someone else. Maybe you've spent countless nights analyzing every message, every word, every glance, hoping to figure out when you lost his interest. But the truth is much simpler, and at the same time harder than you think. I've worked for over 40 years as a cognitive behavioral psychologist. I've guided countless couples, heard hundreds of stories, and learned one thing: men don't lose interest by accident. It's not fate, not bad luck, and not because they're too stupid to appreciate a good woman. Men lose interest when they recognize behavioral patterns that trigger an old, instinctive warning signal in them, a feeling of danger, run, there's no challenge here. Maybe you know this feeling. You meet someone, you feel alive again after a long time. There's chemistry, tension, messages around the clock. You begin to hope, to dream, to believe that this time it might actually work. And then, unconsciously, you start to change. You cancel plans with your friends just to be available. You constantly check your phone, waiting for his message. You adjust your clothes, your opinions, even your behavior to please him. You laugh at things that don't even amuse you, just to appear harmonious. And without realizing it, you become a softer, more compliant version of yourself. Someone who tries instead of simply being. And right when you think you're doing everything right, he starts to withdraw. While you're trying harder to keep him, the balance shifts. Because somewhere out there, there's another woman doing exactly the opposite. She's not trying, she's not performing, she's showing herself as she truly is, raw, alive, real. And that attracts him, not because she's better, but because she remains authentic. It's not magic, not a secret, and not a coincidence. She's simply living, consciously or unconsciously, by psychological principles I've studied for decades. And those very principles are the key to why some women captivate men, and others lose them. But before you can understand how it works, you need to grasp what's really behind this dynamic. If you don't start paying attention now and keep doing what you've always done, I can guarantee that nothing in your life will change. You'll keep attracting men who don't value you, who don't want to commit, who see you as an option while you make them your priority. And the bitterest part is this: the man who's keeping you awake at night will one day build a life with another woman. He'll marry her, have children with her, grow old with her, and you'll find yourself asking what she had that you didn't. I want to be honest with you, brutally honest. I won't sugarcoat the truth. Time passes and it forgives no one. Every day you spend waiting for a man to finally appreciate you while you keep diminishing yourself is a wasted day. Every time you put someone first who only sees you as second best, you're closing the door on someone who would truly make you their priority. And the bitter truth is, while you're reading this, there are women your age who exert an irresistible attraction on men simply because they've stopped repeating the old, wrong strategies they learned decades ago, strategies that never worked. We've all been taught by our mothers, grandmothers, movies and fairy tales that to win a man, you must be sweet, understanding, and always available, that you should take care of him, cook for him, tend to his needs, agree with him, never argue. We were told that true love means sacrifice, devotion, self-denial, that you must put yourself second in order to be loved. For decades, we've lived by that pattern, hoping it would eventually bear fruit. But the truth is, that formula is outdated. It never really worked. It only attracts immature men who aren't looking for a partner, but for a mother. Now ask yourself, honestly, How many times have you been in a relationship where you gave everything and the other gave almost nothing? How many times did you feel like you loved more, tried harder, invested more? How many nights did you cry, wondering why you weren't enough? If the answer is more than once, then the problem isn't the men, but it's the behavioral pattern you keep repeating. I know what you're thinking. You believe men would leave if you were simply yourself, with your strength, your opinions, your boundaries, your own world. You're afraid that if you're not sweet enough, not available enough, not accommodating enough, he'll find someone else. But that very fear, that paralyzing fear of being left, is what's destroying your love life. Because ironically, you lose someone the fastest when you try too hard not to lose them. Men, and I've seen this confirmed in thousands of therapy sessions, don't value what they get too easily. That's not cruelty, it's psychology. There's a fundamental principle called the principle of scarcity. It says that we automatically value what's hard to get more highly. So when you give yourself completely right away, are always available, set no boundaries, and revolve your life around him, his brain doesn't perceive you as valuable. Not consciously, it happens automatically, instinctively, deeply rooted in our biology. Think about how you behave at a market. When you see that a certain fruit is rare, that many people are buying it and it's almost sold out, you automatically think it must be good. But when you see a pile of fruit that no one wants, you start doubting its quality. It works the same way here. Men don't appreciate women who are always available, who have no world of their own, who revolve only around them. They feel drawn to women who lead their own lives with projects, goals, interests, and who make them feel that their closeness is a privilege they must earn. But here's the hardest thing you need to hear. If you don't change now, if you keep repeating the same patterns, you won't just lose this man, you'll lose the chance for a healthy relationship for the rest of your life. The problem isn't your age, your body, or your past. The problem is that as long as you don't value yourself, you'll never find anyone who will. Every year that passes without you making this fundamental shift in the way you love is another lost year. Another year in mediocre relationships with men who don't deserve you. And let me tell you something else you may again not want to hear, but that is 100% true. While you're still hoping that the man who's ignoring you will change his mind, while you keep checking if he's viewed your stories, while you analyze every line of his last message, there's already another woman who's over him. She's let go, she's moved on, she's building an amazing life and attracting men who respect and value her. The difference between you and her isn't beauty, luck, or youth. The difference is that she stopped begging for love and started demanding the respect she deserves. Because this is the most uncomfortable but most honest truth. Your problem isn't a lack of love, but an excess of tolerance for crumbs. You've become so used to receiving less than you deserve that you no longer even recognize when someone treats you disrespectfully. You've learned to settle for men who give you the bare minimum, out of fear of being alone. And it's exactly that fear, that deep, paralyzing fear of loneliness, that keeps you trapped in relationships that drain you instead of fulfilling you. After working with thousands of women, I've come to understand something crucial. The women who truly captivate men, who fascinate them, who live in fulfilling and respectful relationships, all share one thing in common. And no, it's not beauty. I've seen breathtakingly beautiful women treated miserably, and completely average women cherished and adored. The key difference isn't appearance, it's attitude. It's a quiet but powerful aura that says, I know my worth. I have high standards. I don't accept just anything. These women unconsciously send the message. If you don't meet my standards, there are others who will. And before you think I'm suggesting arrogance or playing games, no, it's not about pretending to be disinterested, manipulating, or making yourself artificially scarce. It's about something much deeper and more authentic. It's about reconnecting with the woman you were before disappointment made you believe you weren't enough. It's about reclaiming the inner strength you had before small-hearted men made you think your worth depended on their attention. It's about rebuilding your sense of self-worth from the ground up. Because the biggest problem I see every day in my practice is this: brilliant, intelligent, capable women, successful in their careers, confident in public, turn into insecure, dependent beings the moment a man gives them a bit of attention. Women who have everything under control become little girls in their love lives, desperately seeking validation. And that, my dear, is what drives men away faster than anything else. Men can sense neediness from miles away. They can smell the fear of abandonment. They immediately notice when a woman puts all her self-respect and happiness in their hands. And in that moment, there are only two kinds of men: the good ones, who pull back because they know they can't carry that responsibility, and the bad ones, narcissists and manipulators, who approach because they know they'll have power over you. So do you want to know what women do who truly drive men crazy? Do you want to know the secret that makes a man unable to get you out of his head? I'll tell you, but you must be ready to truly understand it. Because it contradicts everything you've been taught. The women who fascinate men the most are the ones who don't need them. So simple and so difficult. These are women with full, rich, exciting lives, where a man is a beautiful addition, but not a necessity. Women who are fine if he leaves, who have 1,000 things they'd rather do than wait for a call. Women who know that if he doesn't value their time, someone else will. And here lies the mistake many make. They think that not needing a man means giving up on love, building walls, becoming cold. But that's a misunderstanding. It's not about rejecting love. It's about not needing this man. It's about understanding that you are complete, with or without a relationship, that you are ready to share your life with someone who is your equal, but not at any cost. The women who are truly irresistible have something I call the factor of emotional self-sufficiency. These women don't seek a man to feel whole, to give their lives meaning, or to fill their inner voids. They are already whole. They have a life they love, projects that excite them, goals that drive them. And a man who wants to be part of that life has to earn the privilege by showing that he contributes something, not that he takes something away. And that, my dear reader, is exactly what you're missing right now. You're not missing a man. You're missing a life so fascinating that men want to be part of it. You're missing a version of yourself so magnetic that when a man meets you, he thinks, this woman is special. I can't lose her. But to get there, to become that woman, you have to do something you may not have done in a long time. You have to look honestly in the mirror, brutally honestly. You have to ask yourself, if I were a man, would I fall in love with me? Would I choose me as a partner? And I'm not talking just about your looks, but about your energy, your attitude, your presence. Because here's the hardest truth I can tell you today. If you're not in love with your own life, how can you expect a man to be? If you don't find yourself interesting, how can others find you fascinating? If you don't put yourself first, how can anyone else? Most women who come to my practice are waiting for a man to save them from boredom, loneliness, dissatisfaction with their own lives. They're waiting for the prince who will give their existence meaning. And while they wait, they stop living. They stop chasing dreams, stop investing in themselves, stop doing things that make them feel truly alive. And then they wonder why men don't find them interesting. Let me explain something I know after decades of research on the male brain. Men are biologically programmed to hunt. It's part of their evolutionary structure. For thousands of years, the men who survived were the better hunters, the better pursuers. That programming still exists today. Men enjoy the chase, the challenge, the conquest of something that requires effort. When you give yourself away without any effort, when you're always available, when you present no challenge, his brain simply switches off its interest. And I'm not talking about pretending to be the difficult one. That doesn't work. Men sense immediately when something is fake. What I mean is that you truly become a woman who is hard to win over because you're busy living a fulfilling life, because you genuinely aren't always available since you have commitments to yourself, because you truly have high standards, and not every man qualifies for them. And yes, I know what you're thinking, but I've already tried all of that and he's still left. If a man leaves you even though you were the best version of yourself, then he's done you a favor. Better he leaves now than that you waste years of your life on someone who doesn't deserve you. The goal is not to keep just any man. The goal is to attract the right one, and at the same time, keep the wrong ones away. And that's only possible when you are authentically yourself. But the best version of that self. Not a mask, not a performed ideal, not an artificial image. You, only more mature, clearer, and fully aware of your own worth. And here comes a sentence that might make you uncomfortable. If you're not currently attracting the kind of men you desire, it's because you're not yet the kind of woman who attracts those men. Before you feel attacked, hear me out. If you want a successful, stable, confident, and emotionally mature man, you must yourself become successful, stable, confident, and emotionally mature. Like attracts like. If you're full of insecurities, fears, and old patterns, you'll attract men who are just as broken as you. I call this the principle of emotional equivalence. You attract the level of emotional health that you embody yourself. If you want to improve the quality of men in your life, you must first improve your own emotional quality. Work on your fears, your traumas, your attachment patterns, and above all, on your self-worth. I know it's not easy. I know it takes time and effort, but it's the only way, because let me tell you something I've observed over and over again in my practice. The women who work on themselves, who go to therapy, who read books on personal development, who are truly willing to invest in their growth, are the ones who eventually find extraordinary relationships. And those who don't, who keep blaming men, who keep repeating the same patterns, who refuse to look honestly in the mirror, continue attracting the same disastrous relationships again and again. So let me ask you, are you ready to work on yourself? Are you ready to become the woman who truly drives men crazy? Because if your answer is yes, if you truly want this transformation, you must understand that it will pull you out of your comfort zone. You'll have to question beliefs you've held for decades. You'll have to confront fears you've avoided your entire life. And the first of these beliefs you must let go of is the most dangerous of all, the belief that you must be in a relationship to be happy. That's the biggest lie Disney ever sold us. And we blindly believed it. The truth is exactly the opposite. You must be happy first before you can have a healthy relationship. Happiness doesn't come from outside. It's created within you. And if you're waiting for a man to make you happy, you'll be waiting forever. Men don't want to be responsible for your happiness. That's too much pressure, too much responsibility. They want to share their lives with a woman who is already happy, who already has her life together, who is emotionally stable. They want to be part of your joy, not the source of it. And that brings me to a crucial point. If you don't have a relationship right now, if you're single, it's not a misfortune. It's a golden opportunity, a chance to build the life you truly want before sharing it with someone. A chance to heal, to grow, to become the woman you've always wanted to be. Yet many women waste this time complaining, chasing men who don't value them, and desperately trying not to be alone. Being alone is not an enemy, it's a teacher. It teaches you to enjoy your own company. It teaches you to truly get to know yourself. It shows you that you are complete without needing anyone by your side. And once you truly internalize these lessons, you become magnetic to the right men. Because there's a huge difference between being alone because no one wants you and being alone because you choose to be. The women who drive men crazy are extremely selective. They don't accept just anything. They don't settle for mediocrity. They have high standards, and they stick to them no matter how long it takes. They prefer being alone to being poorly accompanied, and it's exactly that attitude, that confidence, that deep awareness of their own worth that's irresistible. But let me clarify something about standards, because there's a lot of misunderstanding here. Having high standards doesn't mean being shallow or materialistic. It's not about a man being rich or looking like a model. It's about values, about what truly matters. It's about how he treats you, about respect, honesty, reliability, and the alignment between words and actions. One non-negotiable standard should be, this man always treats me with respect, not just when he's in a good mood, not only when it suits him, but always. Another standard, this man keeps his word. If he says he'll call, he calls. If he says he'll come, he comes. If he makes a promise, he keeps it. And another, this man gives me emotional security. He doesn't play games, disappear without explanation, or make me doubt his feelings. And the problem is, many women have these standards in theory, but in practice they throw them out the window the moment a man gives them a bit of attention. Many women meet someone who gives them butterflies, and suddenly all their standards vanish. They begin to justify unacceptable behavior, make exceptions, tell themselves, no one's perfect, maybe I'm being too demanding. But no, you're not too demanding. You're simply asking for the bare minimum that every person deserves in a relationship. And if a man can't give you that minimum, then he's simply not your man. It's that simple. But to truly uphold your standards, you need something essential, a deep awareness that you are worth it. And that's exactly where many fail. Deep down, many women don't believe they deserve respect, love, or good treatment. They've internalized deep-rooted beliefs from childhood, from past relationships, from societal expectations that tell them they're not enough, that they should be grateful for any bit of affection, that they shouldn't ask for too much because they're too old, because they have children, or because their best years are behind them. But that's all pure nonsense you must banish from your mind immediately. Your worth does not diminish with age. Your worth does not depend on your marital status. It is not determined by whether you have children, stretch marks, wrinkles, or a few extra pounds. Your worth is inherent. You were born with it, and you will die with it. The only thing that can lessen it is if you allow it to. When you make yourself small, when you allow others to treat you disrespectfully, when you believe you have to change to be loved. The truly irresistible women understand this on a deep level. It's not arrogance, it's self-awareness. They know what they have to offer, and they expect reciprocity. They don't give 90% while the other gives 10. They expect a partnership of equals, with a man who makes just as much effort, who invests just as much, who values the relationship as much as they do. And you know what else these women have in common? They're not perfect. They don't have flawless bodies, perfect careers, or perfect lives. But they possess something infinitely more powerful: authenticity. They are real. They don't try to be someone else to please others. They show up as they are, with strengths, weaknesses, quirks, and they say clearly, "This is me. Take it or leave it. But I will not pretend to be someone I'm not." And that's exactly what makes them so rare, and therefore so irresistible. In a world where everyone is trying to present a perfect image on social media, where everything is filtered and staged, an authentic woman shines like a diamond among plastic. Men are tired of facades. They are tired of women who pretend in order to be liked. When they meet a woman who is real, who has no fear of being herself, they fall in love, deeply and irrevocably. But to be authentic, you have to know yourself. You have to know who you are, what you want, what matters to you, what makes you happy, and what doesn't. Many women don't know this because they've spent their entire lives living up to the expectations of others. They were the perfect daughters, the perfect wives, the perfect mothers, but they never asked themselves, what do I actually want? So here's an exercise you should do right now. Take a piece of paper and a pen and answer these questions with absolute honesty. Not how you think you should answer, but how it truly is. Question 1. What made you happy before you started worrying about pleasing men? When you were a child or teenager, what excited you? What made you lose track of time? Question 2. If you won the lottery tomorrow and never had to worry about money again, how would you spend your time? What would you do? Where would you travel? What would you learn? Don't say you don't know, you do. You've just suppressed those desires for so long that you barely recognize them anymore. Question 3. Which parts of yourself have you hidden or suppressed in order to be accepted? Which traits have you toned down because you thought men wouldn't like them? Your sarcastic humor? Your intelligence, independence, strong opinions, ambitions? Question 4. If you could design your ideal life freely, without restrictions, without consideration for others, what would it look like? Where would you live? How would you spend your time? Who would you surround yourself with? What would the relationship you truly want look like? These questions are crucial because you cannot attract the life you want if you don't even know what it is. You cannot be authentic if you have no idea who you are beneath all the layers of expectations and other people's projections. And when you start reconnecting with your true self, you'll discover something both beautiful and unsettling, that maybe you've been living a life that wasn't really yours, that you've been following a script written by others, that you've pursued goals that weren't your own, tried to please people who didn't deserve it, and settled for relationships that left you empty, all out of fear of being alone. But here's the good news. It's never too late. It doesn't matter if you're 45, 50, 60, or 70. It doesn't matter how much time you've invested in the wrong relationships. Today you can start anew. Today you can decide that it's over, that you'll no longer accept crumbs, no longer beg for love, and never again reshape yourself just to fit the image of a man who doesn't deserve you anyway. And when you make that decision, truly make it, with full conviction, something extraordinary will happen. You'll begin to radiate a completely different energy. Men will sense it immediately, because nothing is more attractive than a woman who knows herself, values herself, and knows exactly what she wants and what she will never tolerate. Let me explain what I mean by energy, because many people misunderstand it. I'm not talking about esotericism or mysticism, but about non-verbal communication. Your body speaks through your posture, your tone of voice, your movements, your facial expressions. All of that says more about you than 1,000 words. If deep down you're desperate for validation, afraid of rejection, or don't value yourself, you unconsciously send out exactly those signals. Men pick up on that, not consciously, but instinctively. They sense when a woman radiates neediness, insecurity, desperation, and their interest fades. Conversely, men feel magnetically drawn to women whose body language radiates confidence, who are comfortable in their own skin, who show no trace of dependency or fear. That energy is irresistible, but it cannot be faked. You cannot pretend to be strong while you're breaking inside. The gap between what you say and what your body reveals is always visible. Your eyes, your tone, your gestures, everything gives you away. The only way to project genuine confidence is to truly possess it, and the only way to truly possess it is to build your self-worth from within. Do you know what the first step to that is? To stop seeking external validation, to stop tying your worth to whether men give you attention, to stop attaching your self-esteem to likes, compliments, or glances. Your worth is not defined by others. You alone decide how much you're worth. I know this sounds easier said than done. If you've spent decades measuring your worth through male attention, you can't change that overnight. But you can begin today, with small, conscious decisions that teach you that your opinion of yourself matters more than anyone else's. The next time you stand in front of your closet, don't ask yourself what he would like. Ask yourself what makes you feel beautiful. When you're about to cancel your own plans just because a man invites you out, pause and ask yourself, do I really want this? Or am I doing it out of fear that he'll lose interest? And when you're tempted to send a message just to get his attention, stop and ask yourself, what emptiness am I trying to fill with his response? Because here lies the real issue. Most women seek in men something that only they themselves can give: validation, recognition, self-love, a sense of worth. But no man in this world can give you that. Not one. He can give you affection, companionship, support, but he cannot give you self-worth. That's a task only you can fulfill. As long as you don't do that, as long as you keep searching externally for what can only be found within, you will continue to attract toxic relationships. You'll keep drawing in men who exploit your insecurity. You'll keep giving too much and receiving too little in return. And you'll keep asking yourself why you can't find a good man, when the truth is, good men avoid women who don't value themselves. Emotionally mature men, the ones who are truly ready for a healthy relationship, don't look for women who need rescuing. They're not searching for projects, patients, or mothers. They're looking for partners, equals, women who stand on their own 2 feet, who choose to be with a man, not because they have to, but because they want to. So ask yourself honestly, are you that woman? Or are you still looking for someone to complete you, to save you, or to give your life meaning? If it's the latter, then you must pause now. You must do the inner work before you enter another relationship. Otherwise, you'll keep repeating the same patterns over and over again. And speaking of patterns, let me tell you something about neuroplasticity. A fascinating phenomenon. Your brain is constantly forming new connections, depending on your thoughts and repeated behaviors. Every time you think or do something, you strengthen certain neural pathways. When you repeat the same thought or action again and again, those pathways become highways in your brain, and your behavior becomes automatic. That means if you've repeated the same thoughts for years, like, I'm not enough, I have to earn love, I can't make mistakes, then you've literally built neural highways that keep you trapped in those beliefs. Your brain reacts automatically out of habit, not truth. But the beautiful thing about neuroplasticity is you can change those pathways. You can create new ones. Every empowering thought, every moment you respect yourself, every time you say no where you used to say yes, you begin to reprogram your brain. Step by step, you replace self-doubt with self-respect, fear with calm, neediness with inner strength. This isn't magic, it's science. Your brain responds to repetition and emotion. When you begin to consistently act like a woman who loves herself, even on days when you don't fully feel it yet, your subconscious will start to believe it. You'll notice that you react differently to situations that once hurt you. You'll set boundaries without guilt. You'll stop begging for love because you already carry it within you. And that's when your surroundings begin to change. People who use you will naturally fade away. Men who respect you will suddenly appear. And so the circle completes itself. The journey you embark on isn't one that leads you to a man. It leads you to yourself. When you truly see, respect, and love yourself, you naturally attract people who embody the same. True love doesn't come from lack, it comes from wholeness. So stop asking when the right man will come and start asking when you'll be ready to be the right woman for yourself. Because the moment you choose yourself, everything changes, your gaze, your posture, your life. That's the point when men are no longer your goal, but the natural consequence of your own growth. And that, my dear reader, is the true transformation, the return to yourself.